Hey guys, welcome back to the Aussie Show. So today, right now, this is the second time you've been on.
Yes.
So Dr. Michelle is a naturopath and super just knowledgeable that I wanted to get her on to ask a few more questions that I have and a lot of other people have. She already, before the podcast, has broken our heart about the effects of chocolate. We will go into a little bit of that in here, just so anyone doesn't miss out on the great wisdom you gave us. But yeah, actually, you know what? Let's just start with the chocolate, knock that out.
All right.
So right now I would say roughly 80 to 90 days in, zero chocolate.
Okay.
And the reason I did that was because of the easy system that I do for my clients. It's all about habit stacking, and whenever people start a diet, I'm sure you hear it, I'm like, all right, well, I'm going to do no sugar. It's like so vague.
Yeah.
It's so vague that there is no commitment because what does that even mean?
Right.
And whereas what I've noticed is, at least with me, is like if I get so specific and draw a line where it's like no chocolate, like even with a protein shake, I can have a strawberry, I can't have a chocolate.
Right.
So it doesn't feel like, I had sugar, so I failed. I can just bend the rules this little bit. But what I've noticed through the 90 days, at least now, it's like because I have to focus on that one thing, I don't get all the extra sodium, I don't get the extra sugar. I'm cutting it out. And what happens is my cravings just are exponentially dropping because I'm not feeding the beast in a way.
Yeah.
But yeah, break our heart down a little bit. Actually, you know what? Just Anna, throw us any random thing right now. Pick one of the poisons. We'll just do one example. Good throw. All right. Oh, this is one we didn't do on the video.
Didn't.
We got Milky Way. This is a great double twin size kids size.
Share.
Breakdown.
It says share size. There's 2 bars.
That's good. You can get fat with a friend.
Guys, we should have done this one.
Really? Is it that bad?
This is that bad. Okay, so total sugars 31 grams includes 29 grams of added sugars. So on top of the 31, 58% of this bar, more than half is.
I believe it.
Is sugar. Oh my gosh.
I'm not lying though. I'm reading this right now. I can see creamy caramel and nougat, and it's just making me drool a little bit.
It's only got 80 grams of sodium, which isn't as bad as the other ones that we saw, but mostly it doesn't really have. It's got 2 grams of protein. Doesn't really have much in here. It's got some calcium in it. 0 iron. 2% potassium. Let's see what it says. Sugar, cocoa butter, skim milk, chocolate, soy lecithin, artificial flavor. So they don't even try to say natural flavor. Corn syrup, sugar, palm oil. Ugh. All of this is bad. This is all bad. Chocolate, artificial flavor. Why not just use regular? Chocolate tastes good, I think.
Yeah. Is that though because they do that to improve their margins? I feel like that's the only reason that someone would add all this extra stuff is so that they can get it, so they can basically just stretch their margins.
Well, yeah, what does it say there?
Contains bioengineered. So contains bioengineered food ingredients, that's not a thing in Australia.
Yeah.
Or at least we don't have to
Label
tell people.
it?
Yeah. Because when I started dating Stacey,
Yeah.
she was just baffled. None of this has bioengineered food. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, if that's a thing in Australia that is just we don't have to, I don't know. But yeah, that one.
I feel like there's so many naturopaths and health holistic, coaches in Australia. I always had this perception that it was a very this is the healthy mecca. But that was maybe that's just maybe in my head just because of what I thought. I don't know. Maybe
I think because as a country, I think it's something like 80% of our population lives within 35 miles of the coast. And so generally, what I've found is when people live closer to the beach, they value their health more. And my theory is because they have their shirts off a lot more. And so, you know what I mean? If something's on display, you're like, well, crap, I don't want to be this tub of lard.
Yeah,
it's
thinner.
embarrassing.
Yeah, I better be thinner if I'm going to be at the beach so much. So,
that's at least my theory. Why at least because 80% of our population.
Wow, that's huge.
There. But we still have a lot of overweight
people.
Our per capita obesity still rivals America.
Really?
Yeah. But it's different in terms of we're on the line of obesity, the majority of the population, whereas America, it's there's morbidly obese
Yeah,
a lot more common.
Yeah, yeah.
So-
So this one's not. So in
one's-
conclusion, this one's not good for you. It's a lot of sugar, and
Yeah.
sugar creates inflammation, and inflammation, it creates all kinds of acute and chronic illness. And if I was to say like what is killing people, if we like boiled it down, it's inflammation. So when you have something wrong with your heart and you have cardiovascular disease, or you have like something going on with your arteries where you have plaque buildup, there's inflammation there. Inflammation goes everywhere to try and help you, but then when you have so much of it, and then it creates a problem for you. So then you have pain. Then you're like, oh, like pain in your knee is an inflammatory response. It's supposed to communicate to you, hey, something's wrong with your knee. Will you do something about it? Chronic pain that's always there, could be like arthritic or something like that. It's caused by the foods that we're eating. And sugar is like my top one to avoid. So I'm glad that you got rid of chocolate. But chocolate is not the enemy. It's sugar.
It's sugar. Yeah, because during our challenge, it was, I mean, well, at least the first 30 days for me, it was, I mean, I eat really healthy by and large, but for me, it was, all right, what are the two things that I just keep turning to? And it was chocolate and energy drinks. And
Energy drinks.
I haven't had caffeine in 80 days as well.
I don't like energy drinks either because they have stuff that like messes with your brain. Well, the stuff that's in like Coke Zero or and the name is escaping me.
Like aspartame or whatever it is?
Yes.
Is it aspartame or aspartame? What is it?
Aspartame.
Okay.
And then thank you for remembering because I'm like, what is that ingredient? That will destroy your brain. It will just destroy your brain. So all the neurons there's that myelin sheath that covers them and it just strips away at that. So like people, I feel like that ingredient is leading to a lot of Alzheimer's and cognition and an increase in dementia. I mean, we have the baby boomers that are like all kind of retiring now, but they're predicting a huge increase in dementia and Alzheimer's because of that generation being so big and moving into that time. Yeah, they're saying that it's going to be a huge bump up from where it is now in the next 10 to 15 years of the amount of people that have dementia, cognitive disorders, memory loss, Alzheimer's. So
all because of those artificial sugars.
I mean, it's not just all because of them, but that's a huge component. I think this like, oh, I'm like, that was a generation that came out like around the 80s where everybody's like, oh, low fat, no fat. This isn't really sugar. This is something else. And it's like this chemical. I'm like, oh,
yeah, they really demonized fat.
They did.
Because it was such a weird thing, I guess, because we called overweight people fat.
Yeah.
And then we're like, for some reason, fats then just got this absolute.
It's unbelievable.
Just murdered.
And we need fat because everybody's like, oh, cholesterol. Sometimes I see people come through my office that have like super low cholesterol. And I'm like, this is bad. And they're like, what? I'm like, this is bad for your brain. Like you need fat for your brain. So like one of the questions on my intake is, have you ever been on a low fat diet? Because we need to like really increase your good fats right away to make sure that we counteract whatever you did on this like low fat thing because you have like really damaged your brain.
Yeah.
And you're like, what is it for? All this eating and doing right and working so hard. And then you get to like 75, 80 and you forget everything that you've, what's the point? You know, it's like, let's keep our brain healthy, you know?
And so for people who want to make sure that they've got, I'm going to move this out of my vision.
So you don't have to see it anymore?
So let's talk about the easy challenge. You guys probably are not aware, but I used to be a personal trainer back in Australia for about 8 years. After seeing so many clients stop training with me or stop those habits, they would just fall straight back into the things that made them gain weight almost instantly again. And so after a bunch of years, I realized it hurt me a lot more than I think it hurt them because I just saw so much hard work go to waste. And so a couple of years into it, I started figuring out this new method that I call the 1-2 compound method. And so with that, it's about habit stacking, creating habits that will help you for years and years to come. And the best thing is it's so easy. So we've already had people lose up to 20 pounds in their first month by using the 1-2 compound method. The best part is they don't even realize that anything is happening because it doesn't have to be this hard work. It doesn't have to be all of a sudden your life is flipping itself over, upside down, and you have to focus on 20 different things. Instead, you're going to have a one-on-one coach who will guide you every single step of the way so that you don't have to think. All you got to do is just do the next thing, tick that off for 30 days and the next thing. And after time, what you will notice is the weight will just start coming off. Now, this is not just for people who are trying to lose weight, also people trying to tone or just change some habits so that they don't ever feel like they're being miserable through a diet. Because let's face it, diets do not work. So to find out more about the easy challenge and the 1-2 compound method, all you've got to do is head to my Instagram at Aussie Blake Doyle. Now that is OZ, or you guys call it Z, don't you? You call it Z? All right. OZ Blake Doyle. And then slide in my DMs and just write easy. Now let's get back to the show. So for people who have problems or they want to mitigate that Alzheimer's thing, what are some things they could do for healthy fat intake that will benefit their brain operation?
Yeah. So good fats would be like fats that you get from salmon or some of those like fatty fishes. That's a good fat. You want to get it wild caught, not farm raised, because that's not, you are what you eats. So if they're eating pebbles and you're eating pebbles and whatever poop they're eating out from each other too. So, fish, fatty fish, avocado, coconut oil, these are all good fats for you. Even coconut oil is one that I recommend for people like cooking with it because it's a very stable fat and it's good when it's cooked. Olive oil, I like that more for like salads. You see that more in a salad base. I like it cold.
Would you recommend cooking with olive oil?
I wouldn't recommend it because the chemical composition changes on it and it becomes more inflammatory towards you in the body once you heat it up to a certain amount.
Been doing that lately.
Whereas coconut, you see how it's like thicker? When you heat it up, it's more stable, so its chemical composition doesn't change much.
Okay.
It goes from solid to liquid, but the actual chemical structure of it is maintained. Like olive oil, these molecules kind of like break apart, and then it becomes inflammatory for you further down in the process as it's being absorbed in the body. So those are really good fats for the brain. So like eggs, I don't know why eggs got a bad rap, but eggs are great for you too.
Is that because, I think it was because of cholesterol that they gave it a bad?
It was because of cholesterol. Everybody was like, oh, we got to be, like, what I've found shocking and is that if you look at the history of it, cholesterol, they've been lowering the number for the last 50 years. So right now, if you went in and your cholesterol was 200, they'd put you on a statin. But 40, 50 years ago, that would have been totally normal. It would have been like 250. So every year, every like decade, they just drop it by 10, drop it by 10, drop it by 10. It's very like arbitrary.
Yeah.
Until they get...
It becomes mathematical instead of the bell curve that is health.
Well, the reason is because they're trying to prevent cardiovascular disease. Like all these people are eating fast, frozen, processed foods, and so their arteries are getting clogged. So we need to lower the cholesterol level of what's acceptable so that they don't have blocked arteries and things like that. So I get it, kind of, but like 200.
But they're focusing on the wrong thing, basically.
Exactly. 200 is not a bad number. I mean, if you have had a triple bypass, then, you know, maybe you got to be on top of those things. But if you're not getting enough cholesterol, then your brain is basically starved and you're not going to be able to maintain it. And then if you're adding on top of that, like low-fat diet things, it's like, oh, no, it's terrible for your...
Yeah.
Terrible for your...
It definitely feels like there's this big... And it sounds conspiratorial, but it feels weird that I'm seeing a lot now. There's a lot of demonization of natural foods. So even the fact that ground beef now is below Lucky Charms on the recommended food intake. You haven't heard that?
I have not. It's crazy.
Yeah. So it's like they've got this whole thing now where it's like the recommended one of the most recommended things to eat is watermelon, and it's like you should always encourage more of that. But then around just below that, a couple of spots is like Lucky Charms and Cheerios. And then ground beef is right down. It's the second last on the list.
Yeah.
That it feels like that there's a little bit of a, I don't know if it's a conspiracy or if there's like certain companies that are starting, like I don't think there's some sort of big conspiracy that people are like, oh, you know, they're trying to control this. I just think that it's more, there's these big corporations that make more money because let's face it, Lucky Charms has a higher margin than ground beef does.
For sure.
So those industries can start lobbying certain groups, like, you know, the Healthy Heart Foundation in Australia, which is like gives this healthy tick, means it's healthy for you. It came out real quickly that they were even getting bought in Australia because all of a sudden all these things from McDonald's were getting healthy ticks.
Wow.
And we're like, hold on. And then we realized that it's not even obviously these corporations have to make money, but the problem is that they take donations. And so it feels like, I mean, same with the original food pyramid, you know, the thing you should eat the most is bread, grains, all these other things because they were cheap to make, filler foods, and, you know, have less of, like the obvious one was sugars at the top, but then they had, you know, like meats, have a little bit of that. It's like the ratio was all off.
Yeah, well, all those farming, those were all like big lobbies of like, okay, the dairy industry was a huge lobby.
Yeah.
And the wheat industry is a huge lobby of all this bread. Like we are eating bread more now than we've ever eaten before. And I ask people, what is the hardest thing to give up? And it's bread and cheese. This is like the two things.
Cheese I can get behind. Bread is pretty easy, but cheese, But you don't need a lot of cheese.
You don't. You can have a very little amount and be satisfied. I love cheese, but it doesn't love me back. And especially cheese that's made here in the United States where the FDA...
Your cheese tastes very different to Australia.
Yeah, like if I go to Europe and I spend some time there, their cheese is just like... Oh my gosh, what is this? This is amazing. And I don't feel bad and I don't have brain fog. And it's just, there's not a lot of extra crap in it.
Yeah.
Same with chocolate too over there. The chocolate, they have much more like, of course they have, oh my gosh, they have lots of junk food over in Europe. I'm not saying they don't, but they've got some really good options over there for like chocolate and cheese and breads and things that I just do not eat here. Or avoid unless I'm like at some party or something where I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna have a little piece of something, you know?
It's definitely interesting coming over to America. The food here, it has a very synthetic taste to it. And that was the thing that I noticed very quickly. Like, you know, Starbucks, coffee, tastes beyond fake. You go to Australia, again, I haven't had caffeine for 80 days. We go next week at the time of filming this. But I'm going to have a coffee. I'm going to have absolute anxiety attack. I know that. But the difference is it just tastes like the milk is different there compared to here.
It might not be so bad. I do caffeine once in a while.
I've got one asterisk in that 80 days and it was 2 days ago because I ordered a decaf because I was like, I just wanted like this certain drink and I was like, I just want to try it. I'll get decaf version. I don't think she heard decaf. And I was drinking it and then this was 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Your heart was like...
It wasn't like, my heart wasn't so big. It was more like my head felt like it was imploding a little bit.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel good.
Yeah.
But in saying that, it's just more that the foods here and especially like the flavoring, like I would put syrup sometimes in my coffees in Australia, but the syrups here have this real synthetic plastic taste that if you've grown up with it, like I try and explain it to Americans, but if that's your acquired taste, they have no idea. They got no reference point.
Yeah.
And so that for me is like my healthy eating in America has actually gone up because I'm so used to how, not clean, that's not a good word, but how the junk food in Australia tastes realer.
Yeah.
And so it tastes better, you know?
Yeah, if you're going to cheat, you might as well cheat with something that's going to be really good.
It tastes trash here.
I quit caffeine in 2016, and then I went to, where did I go? I went on a trip, and I had some caffeine. No, as I was quitting, I went on a trip, and I was like, oh, it was brutal. I was in so much pain. No headaches. Everybody has headaches and withdrawal. My pain was nervous system pain, totally down my spine, down my arms. Everything was like, I'm like, I'm never doing coffee again. That was 2016. I'm never doing it. It took me 2 weeks to like feel better because I was on this trip. And then last summer we went to Europe and I was like, cappuccino, espresso. Oh, it's Spain, you know, I love it here.
It's got a romance to it over there.
So I was drinking it every day for like 7 days. And when I came back, I went straight off cold turkey because I didn't have any in the house for myself. And so much pain, just like I was in 2016. Same amount of pain. It was all neurological. It's all about the cortisol response in the body. And my cortisol was freaking out and causing me to have major inflammatory response. So it's like, okay, I get it. No more coffee for like I can do it. Maybe I would go out, have a little coffee once a month. Maybe like we were talking about with the chocolate, like once a month you can do. But if I do it every single day, I'm going to be in pain. It won't be in my head. It'll just be full body inflammatory response. And that only happens to me when I eat a lot of red meat and coffee. Caffeine and red meat will do it. I can have a little bit of red meat and I can have a little bit of caffeine. The body's like, well, you can do this. And after that, body's like, hell no, girl, you need to stop right now.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not going to, needless to say, I'm not going to do much of that anymore because I just can't, I don't want to feel crappy for a week.
Yeah. Well, so basically a bunch of people that have done the easy system with me, including myself when they went off coffee or caffeine, none of them have had withdrawal symptoms.
Good.
And what we realized, and this is partly theory, like there's no real science for backing it, but the one thing that's been consistent has been hydration.
Yes.
And so, so when I went off coffee, I have like a gallon of water a day. Granted, it's like, it's a liter before the gym when I'm at home in the morning, liter at the gym, liter after, and then I spread out throughout the day. Like I used to think a gallon would be a lot, but I'm like, no, it works pretty well.
Yeah.
So what I noticed though was about 3 weeks into it, I had to only drink 1 liter to do a hormone test. And those caffeine headaches came back. And I was like, I don't think that people get caffeine withdrawals. They get hydration withdrawals. And the theory behind it was, when like a lot of people, their coffee intake is their water intake.
That's true.
And when they go cold turkey off it, they don't replace that with water. And so what happens is the body's like, hey, I'm dehydrated, and it gives you that headache. And instead of them going like, oh crap, I need water,
they're like, I need coffee.
I need coffee, and the coffee has water in it.
Yeah.
And so by association, like instead of it being like, oh, this is correlated, people have gone correlation equals causation. And as a result, it's been this like, oh, you get caffeine withdrawals. But no one has had it on the easy system.
I think too, caffeine is one of the most addictive. They put it up there. It's classified as like, this is a super addictive thing that you have. If you have it every day, if you have 3 or 4 cups, I'm like, oh my gosh, you must be so addicted to it. So I think too, there's that other part that's like, oh, well, I need it. There's something in the back of your brain saying, I need it. Whereas like, you're right, you need water. But there's this part saying, oh, no, I need that. I need it. It's like you have all the shirts that's like, don't talk to me before coffee. And
it's like, drink a glass of water.
I'm like, okay, I guess they're really addicted. But I was reading this book all about, it was all about how we became so addicted to caffeine and how it started in England with with us and the tea over here, and then us being like, well, we're not going to drink tea because we're Americans.
Americans really went against like the fact you changed from the left side to the right side of the road just to spite England.
And then we dumped all that tea.
You changed gallons as well. Like you changed gallons to like the US gallon. You guys were committed to like really like going, fuck you, mom.
You know what? We did not want the queen, I guess.
Just bring this forward a bit.
And then we went all in with the coffee. We were just like, okay, what is we need something to caffeinate us, because they figured out that tea was helping in England and all these. They figured like, oh wow, we're getting more. We should definitely give people coffee breaks because they are more active after they have coffee. They're more effective. We should give them these breaks. And before that, it was just like 8-hour day, not coffee breaks. That was never heard of. But yeah, we really went all in with coffee because we needed that caffeine. We were getting it from the tea, and then we were like, okay, well, we're not doing tea, so where can we get our caffeine from? It's going to be coffee.
Well, in caffeine, I read recently, caffeine doesn't actually give you energy. It blocks the receptors saying that you're tired, and that's why when you get off it, it's sort of like, so this is, I know people that have done meth, and they say that, part of its attraction is that you never have a come down. It's just, but it's like a line in the sand. It's just like, oh crap. And so they'll go 2-3 days just wired and then just sleep for 3-4 days. And I was like, oh, that's just like, it's funny. It's like saying, I basically said, I'm like, oh, it's like caffeine on meth, because the caffeine, it seems like people are like, oh, I'm tired. So block that receptor, let me go. And then after they've had 2-3 coffees through the day, crash, and they have this addiction to it because it's like they're addicted to being lied to. They don't fix their sleep, they don't fix their nutrition, they don't get off blue light, they don't fix everything else that's causing them that tiredness.
Yes.
It's just we're constantly lying to our bodies and telling it, hey, don't tell me I'm tired.
Yeah. Don't tell me I'm tired and don't tell me I feel pain. Let's take a pill for that so I don't feel pain. I don't feel tired. I always say it's like robbing Peter to pay Paul, that like if you drink that cup for energy, you're going to pay for it. You're just exactly right. You've blocked the receptor, but eventually down the line, down the stream, you have to pay it back. And then you're exactly where you were before. What is the point? Why don't you just feed yourself foods and drinks that are going to give you energy instead of like block that? But I think we do that too with like, I have a headache, I'm going to take a pill, or I feel pain, I'm going to take a pill. And I'm like, and
turn it off instead of fix it.
Pain is a communicator. Your body's trying to communicate. And I feel like let's go back to like listening to our body. What is our body saying when I have a headache or when I have a stomach ache or when my body aches? What does that mean? What's being communicated? Sometimes it's good, like, oh, I was sore, I worked out, great. And sometimes it's like, oh, you haven't had water, you ate something that was fried and now your stomach hurts, or you're breaking out because you've had too much dairy and there's so much pus in dairy. So like instead of like we just cover it up, bandage. What's fast? That's I find it, and you probably find this too, that people want results yesterday.
Very much,
like, I want to be thin and yesterday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, like it takes a long time to get to that place where you're at, where you're not feeling good and you're bloated and you're, have acid reflux and you have headaches every day. It takes a while for the body to heal itself naturally, but we want it fast.
Yeah. And we want it. So one thing I always hear too is it's like, I tried blank and I just didn't, the results didn't stay. The question is always, well, did you keep doing the actions that got you the results?
Yeah.
And it's never a yes.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, that's one thing that it grinds me. I think we've spoken about this before, but it grinds me when people, I think we have the same outcome or opinion on everything that we're not good at, but we wish we were, but we don't take the action. You have blank because of blank excuse that I don't have. So like, you're good at guitar. It's because you had talent. It's got nothing to do with the fact that you trained 5 hours to 10 hours a day for 20 years. It's got nothing to do with that. You were born with a natural talent.
Right.
Same with hard work. You got a successful business. Oh, you got lucky. You got this, you got that. And then fitness is the same thing. And I hear it often. It's like, oh, no, but you got good genetics.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, it's got nothing to do with the fact that I eat healthy all the time. I train every single day.
Yeah.
And that I enjoy it. Like I actually look at it as a positive thing instead of, ugh, I've got to go to the gym.
Is there nobody in your family that's overweight? Nobody at all in your family is overweight.
My dad is. That's the hilarious thing. My dad's overweight.
So then it's not genetics.
I know. That's the thing. Like, but.
Then it's not genetics. I mean, some things, sometimes you are predisposed to things because I do genetic testing too. But that doesn't mean like that is the line in the sand that just says, hey, you may hold on to fat a little bit more. So that means that you should do a little bit more.
Like if you're an endomorphic body type?
Yeah, that would be a good example too.
Yeah.
Or some people have more sugar handling, like issues where they don't process sugar properly. Speaking of sugar in chocolates, or they don't do it as well as other people. They don't have enough chromium or something. So it's like, all right, well, that's fine. Now you know that. So now we know that you need a little bit more of this, a little bit more of that. It's not a huge, it's like, I think genetics are like a light switch that you can turn on and off. Not huge, not like sickle cell and all these other like huge genetic disorders. But I'm talking like when it comes to like these things, like genetic disposition to diabetes, genetic disposition to heart disease. I'm like, okay, no, like you can do all of these things and stop that from happening. Maybe it's in your family because for the last 50 to 60 years, they're eating the same way you're eating now. And that's where I think it comes in, where it's not like genetics, it's more like familial, the way you've been raised, the way you've been trained to do it. So I think but yeah, I feel like we are predisposed like cavemen to like, we want to go out, get food, and then come back and rest. Like that's kind of our, like nobody wants to be like, oh, I'm going to, work out. It's like, it takes effort. You have to like really want it. Once you're there and you're doing it, you want it.
Yeah.
But the actual getting there is the part that's like, I don't want that. I want to stay in bed and eat a pizza.
Well, and that's why, I mean, I've started doing cold showers and cold plunges like every single time in the morning. And I try and do it within the first 30 minutes of waking up. Now I wake up at 4:30, 5 a.m. And so the goal of that is, it's funny because my mentality is always like, I long for the feeling after, not the feeling during. Now, people are like, oh, you're a sucker for pain. It's like, no, I don't go and just stab myself in the leg.
Right.
Because that's not going to have beneficial results at the end. But I am a sucker for, all right, what's going to be the outcome? So the outcome of the cold thing is, it never gets easier. This morning I did it in the swimming pool. I was like, all right, I'm just going to jump in the swimming pool.
Are you like deep breathing before? You're doing like the Wim Hof?
Nah.
And you're just getting in?
It's not cold enough for me.
For that?
Like for here, like, I mean, even the cold shower is probably like 68.
So it's
not that
cold.
bad.
It's not that bad.
Yeah. But I know the whole thing is like, it's always just overcoming that little barrier of like, it's just something I don't want to do.
Yeah.
And that feeling after you've done it, the thing that I don't understand with a lot of people is they'll do it and then they're like, oh, never again. And I'm like, aren't you pumped that you did something you didn't want to do that has a biological benefit?
Yeah.
And now I feel more awake. I'm ready to like take on, the morning at least a lot easier. It's like people discount that positive feeling. And I saw that when I did personal training back in Australia. I'd mentally break them down to achieve like a box jump. Like box jumps are more mental than physical half the time, because getting someone to jump on something this big, like 12 inches, it's not that big.
Yeah.
But it's like you watch the brain just battle, and then they'll do it. And I'm like, if I've done it once, I can do it again.
Right.
100 times.
Yeah.
But watching people go, I got lucky. I'm like, why did you just why are you discounting yourself?
Yeah.
And then you watch them, it's like they reset their brain to that emotional platform again, or that emotional journey and pain of, I can't do it. I'm like, you just did it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think too, they bring a lot of like whatever their parents told them, whatever their grandparents told them, a lot of like stuff from their past, how they were raised as kids too, that comes a story that they've been told that they keep telling themselves about themselves. Like, I am not worthy, I'm not good enough. I hear that a lot. And it's like, it's not straight said that way. It's like what you're talking about. Like, oh, I just got lucky. Like, I'm sure that person did something good at some point and someone said, you just got lucky, right? And then boom, I programmed them into my brain. I'm not that good. I am just lucky. I've created this sort of neurological pathway for my brain. And I think like we bring a lot of that garbage from when we were kids as we're adults. And I think that the cold plunges really reprogram your brain. I use that a lot for people who have depression, anxiety. If you have anxiety and you get into a cold plunge, you will see whatever you were worried about, you are not worried about anymore.
Yeah.
You have nothing to worry about.
You got to worry about the cold right now.
You're just like living in the moment. You feel so alive, I think, too.
Yes.
Like, whereas if you just pick up your phone first thing and you start checking you're just plugging right back in instead of, if you do the cold plunge like we were talking about before, you're plugging into your body and how your body feels. And I don't like it. No. I'm not like, yay, cold shower. But at the end, I'm like, oh, yay, cold shower. I feel amazing.
Yeah.
Afterwards.
And also,
I'm
the
like,
benefit too is it's like, so I found out recently that if you go in the cold, if you go from cold to warm, meaning like you don't go straight into a warm shower after, because that's going to kill all the goals of what you want, which is to be awake.
Yeah.
If you go into a cold and you come out and just wipe yourself down, get dressed, but let your body warm up. Because it's warming up, it's burning energy, so it's telling it, all right, we're waking, we're going. Versus the opposite, if you go into a warm shower and then come out and your body's cooling itself down, it's going into hibernation, which makes it want to go to sleep.
Yeah.
So having like a warm shower in the morning,
yeah,
no wonder you need a coffee.
Yeah.
Because you just told it to go back to sleep.
Yeah.
But also on the inverse, don't have a cold shower at night.
Right.
Because then you're going to be awake.
Yeah, exactly.
And so like the last 2-3 months by starting this thing, the easy system, and doing that, and it's like I've changed so many things that it's funny, my base level of happiness and also alertness is like a 7 out of 10.
Wow.
You know, I think 10 out of 10 is delusional.
Yeah.
Like if you've probably taken 7 MDMA pills if you're 10 out of 10 happy. but my overall, like if I'm a 6, I'm like, oh, that day was off. If I'm an 8, I'm like, all right,
everything locked in
something
today.
else happened as well as just the base. But it's like, even the blue blockers having, I've got the red ones. Everyone thought it was a fad. And I was like, I tested it for a month and I'm like, even during the day or during night, I'll put the glasses just off and like the overhead lights, the computer. I'm like, you feel your body just tense. And so again, like going off coffee for a month or whatever, you have a glass, you're like, whoa, hello. All the blue blocking and all that stuff. Now, then if I go off I drive, if the sun's down, I'll drive with my red blue blockers on.
Oh, you will?
And everyone's like, that's so dangerous. I'm like, I can see more.
Oh, wow.
Because what happens is you don't realize how much the headlights, the traffic lights are making you squint.
Yes.
And what happens is I am now feeling more tired. And I'm also I'm not seeing as much because that's really bright that I can't see around it. I put the blue blockers on and every single headlight, traffic light looks like the red of a flame.
Ah, okay.
And I'm calm driving.
Yeah.
Now, granted, if I need to look somewhere and there's no lights, you dip the glasses. You can't see shit in no light, but everything's so lit up.
Yeah.
They're so bright that I'm like, it was interesting because I was like, yeah, this is going to be dangerous. But I actually felt calmer and more alert doing that.
So you've basically taken all the stimulants out. Chocolate's a stimulant. Coffee's a stimulant. Blue light,
and I'm
like
so
stimulant.
awake. It's interesting. I am so awake.
That's great. Well, they're all artificial stimulants. So you are stimulated by the food you take in, the exercise
The
you
gym.
do. Removing the blue light.
And I'm almost like carnivore diet now too by accident. So it's like 90 to 95% of my diet now is meat and fruit. And same thing. Like I was always like, I think carnivores are going to be the next annoying vegans, if you know it. Like, those annoying vocal vegans.
I'm seeing 100% agree because I'm
seeing
already
carnivores
seeing
now. I'm just like, they're like shitting, like they're so passionately shitting on vegans. I'm just like, guys, can you shut up? I'm like, yes, I do. Like personally, I believe meat is very beneficial. I feel it in my body.
Yeah.
But I'm not there just like, look at this dumb vegan. Like, it's like, guys, shut up, please.
And everybody's a little bit different. And you take the meat that turns into amino acids converts in the body a little differently. For me, red meat creates inflammation, but not poultry or fish. So I have to get my animal protein from different sources. But everybody is a little bit different. So I hate that when it's like, oh, it has to be put in a box. Like, vegans don't eat meat or carnivores don't eat vegetables. It's like, listen, everybody needs to find the formulation that works right for them. And it's going to include some vegetables, maybe some animal protein, maybe not, maybe some kind of protein though. You're getting, if you're a smart vegan, you're getting protein from somewhere.
Yeah.
You're getting it in.
And don't be vocal, because if you like, the best thing is watching people that are so passionately vocal, like vegan, carnivore, fruitarian, whatever it is.
And then they change their mind.
And now they can't say shit. They have to do that very quietly.
To change.
It's like, wait, hold on. Because that's the thing. If you're so vocal about this is the superior diet, that is a steep fall. If even you like, if you go vegan, you're passionate about it, and then you find out biologically it doesn't work for you because you go you have super low iron, and then you're like, shit, I'm gonna have like liver tablets. And now it's like you watch, like they're quietly taking them, and you can tell when someone's not as much of a loyal vegan, loyal fruitarian, loyal carnivore, whatever they are.
Yeah.
Because those posts start disappearing on social media.
They start to lighten up. People are always asking me, like, what do you do? I'm like, I eat a little bit of a lot of things, and I try to eat things that are clean, that grow towards the sun, that are alive. It's like, but I don't put myself in a box, because then if I'm out and I'm with friends and we're at a party.
And then they judge you like, you're having that?
Exactly. It's like, oh, well, so I just don't like to do that. I just like to eat what I feel is good for me. And sometimes it's more of this and sometimes it's more of that. And it depends on, like, as I get older, I'm going to need different things. And somebody who's 16, my kids are going to need different things than what I need in terms of
and we
animal
change.
protein.
We change as we grow.
Exactly. And we need, and everybody needs a unique, I think, diet for what works for them too. But also as you age, that changes. As you exercise more, like I started exercising more recently, like I committed to doing 30 minutes a day.
That's good. Every single day?
Every single day.
That is so much easier than trying to do 3 or 4 times a week.
Yes. And I'm doing it from home. Basically, I just like have my own little home gym thing going. and I'm like, I want to do it. I want to get like, this is my goal. I was doing, that I'm like super into hot yoga. Because we've talked about that before. I'm like,
Can't do it. I'll do it and I'll grit my teeth with my wife, but
I love it.
It's
like my favorite thing ever. You burn like so many calories. You feel like somebody wrung you out. But I was always doing
that's for sure.
You're like, okay,
I just like, I don't know. I hate taking my shirt off around people. I know that sounds so weird. I don't enjoy.
Well, then just leave your shirt on.
No, I hate, because the problem is I hate a sweaty shirt more. That's it, right?
This is why I can't
do it. And then all of a sudden it's like, it's a weird thing. I work very hard for my body, but then if I'm in certain situations, I'm just like, I don't know.
You
whatever.
don't want to be on display.
That guy. Someone works out a lot.
Nobody's judging you.
I'm judging myself.
Nobody's judging you. So, but I was like doing more of that than anything else. I wasn't doing weights. I wasn't doing crunches. I was just doing that. So I was like, in the new year, I was like, I'm going to diversify my workouts a little more. I'm still going to do hot yoga, but instead of doing it like as my only, and it's been awesome to do that. And because of that, I need to increase my animal protein intake because I'm doing more cardio and I'm burning more calories. And if you're at the gym every day or you're working out every day, you need a little bit more protein or you need a little bit more fat. And so, but when I was doing hot yoga, I needed less of those things. I needed more of other things. So
it really is aligned with what you're doing.
It's aligned with what you're doing.
And that makes a lot of sense because my wife, she's cooking all my, she preps my meals, it's over there right now. Dude, I'm eating so much healthier because of her. But again, that's why I've accidentally become more carnivore.
Yeah.
But I think we just weighed myself today and I put on I think 7 to 8 pounds of muscle in 3 weeks.
Wow. Amazing.
And I'm just like, that's accidental.
Yeah. That was not on purpose.
No. I mean, I'm also doing the peptides with HGH.
Yeah.
I don't want testosterone not until I'm 50 when it starts declining. But there's like I said, there's a lot of things. Better sleep by 9:30, up at 4:30, blue blockers. It's a lot.
You've done a lot, and it's all contributing to this change.
Yeah.
So you can change in a short period of time. You can if you're stacking all the good things.
So that's what it's habit stacking makes it super
You're in
easy.
a good place to do that, though. You have that mindset. You're ready to go. I find that it's really hard for people that are just starting out to be like, I'm going to do... I make my protocols and I put everything in there. And I'm like, you don't have to do any of these. Pick 2 things.
Yes.
And then next week, pick 2 more things or 1 more thing and then nail that and then pick another thing and then just stack it. Okay, you don't like to meditate, but you like to go for walks. How about a walking meditation? A walking meditation. I'm like, yeah, you just breathe in, breathe out, focus on your feet, just one foot, then the back of the foot, front of the foot, back of the foot. Oh, okay, I can do that while I'm walking my dog instead of on my phone. I'm like, perfect. Let's stack all of these good habits on top of each other and then you're getting it done. But I find that people are pretty, it's like the one, cheese and meditation. I'm like, come on, come over, let's meditate a little bit.
That's an odd pairing.
I know. These are the 2 things that people are most resistant to, I think. It's like meditation.
I find though, we all have, I think people lie and they're like, I'm not an addictive person. We all are. We're addicted to our habits. But I've noticed that, we're too busy we shun our bad things. I'm just a really addictive person.
Yeah.
That's a superpower. Use that and just refocus that addiction. Because I am very much, you tell me if I want to do something, blockers come on.
Yeah.
And I get so addicted.
Yeah.
And so that was what my thing, instead of me being chocolate, cool, bang, bang. And energy drink, like you said, the addiction part, I noticed that I was getting very excited. It was so if I thought about having a Celsius, I would get a little excited.
Yeah.
And that's when those feelings, that's when I realized there's a problem. The fact that it's not like I felt anything from it, but the fact that just the thought of a Celsius, even now it's that little bit, I'm like, ooh, because I know when I have it, I'm going to feel a little bit punch.
Yeah. And we want that feeling. We want to always feel good. And that's why we avoid things like the gym or dieting or changing our diets. Cause it's there can be,
it's a slower feel good.
It's much slower to feel good. It's oh God, why would I do this? And I don't think that we're programmed for that. We we are programmed, go search, get food, come back, lay down in your cave, that's it. Use the least amount of energy as possible to get the most amount of calories. But now we're like changing that around and we're like, okay, well, we're going to work out. Oh, we're going to eat well. Oh, we're going to food prep. Oh, God.
Well, that's why we find like that, you know, leaning into the addiction and looking at it differently, which is like, all right, I'm addicted to this streak of, because I was in a rush the other day. The other day, it was like probably 3 weeks ago. And I was running short on time. And I had a meeting, had to get back to the office. And I was like, fuck, all right, I would just pull in. I went into the Servo gas station. And then I was like, I just need a protein shake. Surely I have strawberry, all chocolate. I was like, fuck.
Oh, no.
So I just went stuff it. It's 1 asterisk, whatever.
Yeah.
Got it, bought it, $4.50, expensive. And I get in the car and I look at it and it's like this moment where I was like, I felt like I was cheating on my wife.
Yeah.
I looked at it and I was like,
this is
can't
the
do
moment.
it. Threw it in this chair and I just kept going.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I don't want to say I've done X amount of days, but with one time.
Yeah.
And so leaning into my addiction and that addiction of I need this number to keep going.
Yeah.
I just refocused where I was doing it for the benefit instead of just being, I'm just an addictive person. I love chocolate, which I do. So I've recently become a parent. It's interesting to watch them grow and watch them just become a human being. And one thing that I really have learned from my little Sienna, kids will do what you do. They do not do what you say. That has really resonated recently with me. I need to be an example to my daughter and whatever future kids I have with my health, my fitness, making sure that I can be around to live longer. But not only that, I want to make sure that she has an amazing longer life. She has healthy values built into her. And those values come back to me. I'm the one that's responsible to put on to her. This has been a thing that we've been focusing with the Easy Challenge for parents. I know being a parent is very little time you can do. So finding hours and hours to go to the gym, finding time to meal prep everything, it's too much when you're a parent. So with this, we developed the 1-2 compound method. And this has helped parents lose up to 20 pounds in the first month. And some have even lost more than that leading into the second month and beyond. So if you're a parent and you want to figure out, you know what, I want to be around, I want to be more present with my kid physically and more active, being able to keep up with them, being able to instill more values of health so that they can not only have a better life, but also live longer because, you know, healthy life, longer life. Hey. So to find out more about this, just go to my Instagram. It is Aussie Blake Doyle. Now that is OZ Blake Doyle. And then just slide in my DMs and write the word easy, or you can write more than that if you want, and I'll send you some information to find out how easy this Easy Challenge is. Now let's get back to the show.
That happens to me too sometimes where I'm out and about and I haven't, or my meal, I left it at home or whatever. I was rushing and I didn't get my juice and I'm like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Because there's like, I wish there was like a fast food, like let's go in and get a smoothie or whatever, or a salad or something good, but there's not. There's this place in Orlando called Freshie, and I used to go there like all the time because they would make you like little salad bowls and smoothies, and it was all like organic, and it was great, and it was like relatively fast. I mean, in like 10, 15 minutes, you could be out and you'd have a nice lunch. But I have found nothing like that here. And
do you think maybe it's an older population? I feel like the younger population's wanting more healthy alternatives.
Yeah. That's
which is hilarious when the older generation says we're all fat and lazy. I'm like, we're the ones changing the food you gave us. Like, what are you talking about?
I know, it's all like processed and in cans.
Yeah.
It's like that was the thing. And microwaves, when microwaves came out, that was like, let's microwave it.
Yeah, let's nuke our food.
And then put it in, and it's like so easy. And
well, if you don't know the science, it is very cool and very efficient.
Yeah.
You know, like if we didn't know the science, I'd still be nuking my food in a microwave.
Right,
you know?
right. Then you realize, okay, well, I've just killed any good that was in that food. If I'm like, they have like the microwave
kills all of it, all the nutrients, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. So they have like the microwave frozen broccoli and stuff like that. I'm like, open the bag, steam it. What do we need to nuke it for? It's just.
And so what's the reason that it kills is it something to do with the microwaves ruin the mitochondria, whatever it is?
They break down the way that it's heated is different than like, where you steam it and it takes longer. This all goes back to like why I want it fast. I want it now. But in the process of trying to get it that way, really quick, really fast, it kills all the nutrients with those microwaves. And and it changes, like what I was talking about with the olive oil, how when you heat it up, it changes chemically. Same thing is going on, and it's just killing all the nutrients. Plus,
so you're basically having just nutrient scarce food, even though you think you're eating healthy food.
Yeah, you're getting some very small amounts of nutrients. But if you overcook your vegetables too, you do the same. The same thing will eventually happen. So if I left that's why broccoli smells when you overcook it, because it lets off that gas. But like if you really overcook it and you have that like tender broccoli, you're getting little nutrients too. It's better than if I nuked it, but it's still not good for you because you're not getting. So it's always like, I'm like al dente, like your vegetables should be like a little crispy, and then you're getting nutrients, but you're also heating them up a little bit because I don't know, some people have trouble with cruciferous vegetables and gas, because the breakdown in the body and stuff. So I'm like, well, if you steamed it a little bit, you'll be fine. Maybe don't have it raw because you don't have enough digestive enzymes to break that down.
Yeah.
So it's better to just cook it al dente, and then eat it right away. But don't like kill it. I'm like, don't kill your vegetables.
This is probably the least amount of vegetables I've eaten in my whole adult life.
Yeah, now.
Yeah. But I'm just sort of like seeing listening to how I feel. And that's what I don't think a lot of people do. Like yesterday I love chickadee tenders from Publix. Yeah. That's like it's funny, that's my guilty food now. I'm like, wow, I'm such a loser. But they had spicy ones. I was like, I want to give them a try. And so I just had one because it was just to see the spice. But then what was interesting was feeling, as we were driving home, like I really enjoyed it. I was like, this is actually really nice. But then when we were driving home, I was aware of my stomach acids. Like it felt like there was a little fire in my stomach. And I guess if you're used to that, you probably start to like the feeling. Because it was new to me because I don't do that normally. It was very interesting being like, oh, this is probably a red flag.
Yeah.
So I limit, like, again, not cutting that out completely because at least there's chicken. It's not like, whatever. But I was definitely feeling that. I was like, that kind of sucks.
Yeah.
So I liked that.
That was a good thing. Yeah, I think we generally tend to like ignore it and then
have more and more and more of it.
Yeah. So sometimes I also ask in my intakes like, what kind of foods bother you? Like what kind of foods bother your stomach? Most people know, or I would think, oh, you would know. For me, it's red meat because I'm tuned in, but not a lot of people actually know. They're like, oh, so that's why I give them food journals. And I'm like, okay, when your stomach hurts, I want you to write down what it was that was hurting. What did you eat? And then, oh, okay, now I can see I have a problem with chicken, or I have a problem with garlic, or whatever it is. That's kind of like an elimination diet, try to figure out like what it is. But mainly just like tune in, because you're right. I think we get that feeling. We get it so often, maybe the heartburn or the feeling of the fullness in the stomach, that we don't tune into it because it's over and over and over. And we think, oh, it's normal. So we forget what it's like to feel normal. What's like, I'm like, actually, no, it's not normal not to have a bowel movement every day. It's not normal to be bloated after every meal. It's not normal to have a headache after you eat or have your pulse rate. Oh, yeah, I sweat sometimes when I eat this food. I'm like, bingo, we're not going to eat that food anymore. We're going to take that food off the list. But until we sit down and talk about it in the intake, it takes it's like, oh, yeah, let me think about this. Now that I think about it, when I have barbecue, this is what happens to me.
Yeah, whatever I focus on is what will happen too. Because that, I don't know where I got it from. And it's been a slow change over my 20s and now early 30s, which has been, I don't chase the feeling of when I'm eating the food. I chase the feeling of after. And like even the other day, Stacey's like, what do you want me to cook for dinner? Like, do you want me to start having steak? Standard. She goes, want me to do some rice and blah, blah, blah. And I go, just cook the steak and then I'll see if I want more. And she was like, oh, okay. And because don't get me wrong, before I was like, you're hungry. So it's like, oh, give me some rice, give me this. And I go, no, just make me the steak and I'll see how I feel.
Yeah.
Had the steak and I was like, dude, I'm ready for bed.
Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, cool. So, we didn't throw out food.
Yeah.
We saved money. But so the other thing was with, you're a big juicer. Because I was like, there's this big thing at the moment with concerns about liver disease with excess sugar consumption through drinks because of how much sugar it shoots through.
Yes.
One of the things the guys brought up was also just this guy I was into, he had grapefruit juice. And then he would read it and he's like, hold on, I'm drinking the equivalent of 8 grapefruits in this one thing, but I can't eat more than one because of the fiber that's associated with actual fruit. And so his thing was like, oh, nature does this to stop us from having too much fruit.
Yes.
And so with your juicing and what you recommend with people with juicing, I most people hear juice, we think fruit juice.
Yes.
What do you recommend with people for that?
Vegetables. You're
Okay.
juicing vegetables. You're not really juicing much fruit. So if I was going to put some grapefruit in my juice, I would probably put like half a grapefruit in my juice. Maybe not grapefruit. I really try to avoid the fruits. So
For that reason?
For that reason that you don't want to have so much sugar. Now there is some sugars in the vegetables, but like mainly the base of a juice would be good, like celery, cucumber, carrots, spinach. These are all good ingredients. Now maybe you wouldn't do all of them in one juice. That would be kind of tough. But like, but maybe like one apple, a carrot, apple, celery. You could do like half a head of celery, and then maybe 3 or 4 carrots, and then maybe an apple, and maybe some ginger, a little piece of ginger, something. That would be a good juice. That'd give you 16 ounces. And what it's actually doing is detoxing for you, because when you juice, when you eat, you use bile from the gallbladder via the liver. So your liver is activated, your pancreas, your gallbladder, your stomach, everything is kind of working hard to break down like that steak.
Yeah.
Lots of fibers. We're going to break it down. We're going to pull out the amino acids and the B12s and all that good stuff. And then it's going to move it on. When you juice, it goes straight from took it in my stomach, and then I went and it got absorbed into the body. It goes through the liver and gets absorbed through the body too. But what I mean by that is that it goes from the stomach direct, within 20 minutes to the small intestine, and then through the process of effusion, all of those microparticles get into the blood, and then that goes back into the liver. So it gets filtered again. So there's 2 phases where the liver is working, at the beginning and then towards the end. So when you start to juice, it's very detoxifying for the liver, because you're actually giving your body a break from digestion, and you're giving it a lot of vegetables, more vegetables than you wouldn't sit down and eat like half a head of celery. I mean, you could if you wanted to, but
Psychopath.
or maybe like 5 carrots or 4 carrots. You wouldn't sit down, and it would be difficult to do that. So, but I typically avoid like juicing like the really high in sugar fruits.
Yeah.
You can.
Even if it's natural.
You can. I would say eat those to your contentment. And maybe once in a while when I'm like juice fasting, I may add some of those in the morning to give myself a little bit of sugar. But I would do more like, if I was going to have a late night juice, like a 5 p.m. juice, I would do like romaine, spinach, things like that are more like for sleep versus something sugary that's going to be too high in sugar. So yeah, people think fruit juice, but when I juice, it's vegetable. It's very vegetable based.
Because the amount of sugar in fruit juices, even if they are cold pressed or whatever natural thing you want to do,
it's too
they're
high.
equivalent to Coke.
Yeah, it's
you know?
way too high to do the fruit juices. I mean, like
So they're
all those juicy
basically
packs, I'm like, oh, poor kids. Not only is it bad for your teeth for them, but also it's so much sugar in them.
That is a weird thing with like when you look at, obviously when we were kids, every kid had ADD.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no shit, you guys were giving them everything. Like you were basically giving them natural or like
Yellow,
legal cocaine, and then going, this kid doesn't sit still.
Food colorings. All those food colorings.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All the food colorings.
Because that was so natural. Like you give, the standard American lunchbox was like peanut butter and jam or jelly, peanut butter and jelly on white bread with fruit juice little cup and then a fruit cup.
Yeah.
It was literally sugar. And then, hey, by the way, you just had that at lunch. Now we want you to sit down for 2 hours, please. And then it's like, this kid just doesn't sit still.
Yeah.
He has attention deficit disorder. It's like, no shit. Like, he's also 7. Like, you're telling this kid to sit down?
Yeah.
You can't make a kid sit down for that long.
Yeah,
especially after you inject them with...
Food does have such a big impact on our like mental and cognition and our like energy. You feel it, right? Have you ever felt like everybody has had a meal of like pasta and protein, and then
love a good nap,
and then it's just like good night. I need to go to sleep, because but food is supposed to give us energy. It's supposed to do the
the
opposite.
opposite.
It's not supposed to make us tired. If it makes us tired, it's because we've combined it in a way that's not good for us, or it's creating issues in the digestive process. So, but yeah, it is kind of like this, I'm so full, I'm going to go take a nap. But and that's, I feel bad for kids too, because they have to go work. They have to focus. They don't want to focus because they're had the sugar too, or they're really tired because they had like a really carb dense meal.
Yeah.
So
but it comes from the parents too, because the problem is parents are doing it to themselves as well. And so, every parent has a responsibility to their kids.
Yeah.
But the problem is they think if I tell my kid to do this, they'll do it. Whereas monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
And, it is a weird thing now where it's, I don't know, being a father now, I'm like, I'm lucky that I'm in a selfish way.
Yeah.
I want to live longer. I want to live longer and better.
Yeah.
But what's going to happen by, just by natural causes is, we'll wrap it, don't worry. It's like she's going to see me do that.
Yeah.
And it's more likely that she's going to end up doing it too.
Yeah.
Because it's also like we're going to instill those habits, because I don't give her crap food. Because I'm like, I'm not eating it. Why would you eat it?
Yeah.
But I feel either one or two things happen is the parents do it because they're like, I don't give a shit. Put the TV in front of the kid, make him shut up, don't want to deal with the kid. But I just feel like there's more of a responsibility. Like, hey, if you're not prioritizing your kid's health, you don't really give a shit about your kid's longevity. And that's a very hard thing for people to hear. But the truth is, it's like, well, no, if your friend was walking down the road and they were blind and you could see a ledge at the end, I don't want to hurt his feelings and tell him he's going the wrong way.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you tell that person they're going the wrong way. Like, hey, I care about you.
Yeah.
Dude, you've got to get this in order.
Yeah.
And then if they can go like, well, you don't, then it's like, well, shit, maybe I should get my stuff in order too.
It sounds like the same kind of conversation I have with my kids, where I'm like, well, I care about you and I don't want you to have thyroid disease, and I want you to have like kids when you're older, and I don't want you to have any issues. So I'm just trying to help you, because it's not easy when they start talking back to you and they're like, everybody else is doing this and I don't want to do this, and I don't think that this, I've got one that's like, she likes to do all the things that and then I got another one that's just like, no, I'm not doing anything that
you're
say.
a lot right now, Mom.
You're a whole lot. And it's like, I don't want to hear it, and it's fine. But I feel like even when they're not doing all the things, like they're still listening, they're still watching.
Yeah.
And so my hope is that like, okay, well, I can't control everything that they're doing. Now they're outside of my house. Now they're at their friend's house, and I don't know what's happening. I can't control it, but I'm hoping that they're making good choices. And then maybe if they don't make a good choice here or there, that like they have my voice in their head saying like, I want you to have kids when you're older. I want you to be able to, if you want to, do all of these things. I don't want you to have the hypothyroid or hyperthyroid. So many women are having these issues. So I'm like trying to avoid this for you. And I know that if you continue to eat this and this and this, that's what's going to happen. Yeah. But it is a lot of lecturing. I feel like I do a lot of lecturing at the dinner table. And
that's the good thing. But again, if they see you doing it, it's like, it's always, one of two things will happen. You can be a fat blob and your kid sees that and goes, I don't want that in my life. That's not as often. Yeah. But it's, like my friend who his boys are now like 5 and 7. Yeah. They go to a birthday party and they'll be like, Dad, there's no good food here because it's all shit. Yeah. But because that's all they get at home. And like everyone thinks like, it's this weird thing of like, oh, let them enjoy their life. And I'm like, yeah, I will, and they'll enjoy it longer than your kids probably. Like it sounds like a mean thing to say, but it's just this weird thing of this, oh, let them enjoy life. It's like, you don't know what you never have. You're not missing out on something you never know existed. Yeah. So, but yeah, and like kids are a lot smarter than we think. Like watching Sienna at 16 months, like yesterday, sorry. So she's got the rhythm now. I go to the front door, she runs up, she'll bring my socks. Like she's 16 months. Yeah. And then she goes sock and she tries to put on. She hasn't figured out that part yet. But then I can literally just go, I don't have to look. I don't have to say. She doesn't speak yet. But I just go, Sienna, can you get my shoes? Goes and looks like she understands everything I'm saying. Yeah. And now she's realized, because I have a tight tendon in my my big toe, which kind of makes it could go like that. Like that, what is it? Those yucky toes.
Yeah.
I have then I can't change unless I get surgery, and I'm like, nah. So I just have this little, like, basically little wedge thing that goes in between my toes. And I put them in every single time. And it's like, it means my knees don't get screwed up.
Right.
Because I was feeling it actually makes my knees roll in because of all these problems. But all it is simple. It was like $20.
Yeah.
Done. She's now realized that's my routine too. Put those between my two toes. And so she runs up through the chairs.
Yeah.
And then I'm putting the socks on one shoe. My socks on one foot. And she starts looking through my shoes for the piece.
Oh.
She looks in the first one, doesn't see it. Looks in the second one, picks it out, gets my foot and starts trying to put it between my toes. She's 16 months.
Yeah.
But just something that simple of a meaningless habit, she's picked up that pattern and goes, oh, I'll do that.
Yeah, yeah.
And so if you can't say that kids are not going to see your patterns of being lazy, eating junk food, even if you're telling them to do it, it's like they're going to notice, like if they can notice something that small, they're going to notice the big things.
And sometimes you don't even have to push it on them. I've been juicing for years and years. And then my husband was like, I want to juice too. So then I was like, 2 juices, everybody's getting, we're both doing it for years now. And now my oldest is like, just recently, and it started in January, I want to juice too. I want you to make me a juice every morning. I'm like, great.
Fantastic.
I still have one that's like, no, thank you. I don't want
the younger
that.
one?
The younger one.
She'll get that.
But I didn't have to push it. I didn't have to be like, hey, you should drink
Yeah.
a juice. Why don't you have a juice? I don't want to push it on them. I'm going to present options. I think a really good idea is to just put a bowl of fruit out. Just leave it out. And then your grazer will come by and just eat that. It's like they like to just.
Yeah. The environment always wins.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how mentally strong you are. The environment you're in will always win.
Yeah, yeah.
That's why I love when people like buy junk food. You're like, just in case someone comes over. It never lasts till that person comes over. And so why put it in there?
No. That's just a terrible idea.
Why put temptation in front of you?
No, you don't want to do that.
No. But you got to run now. So
I've
we'll
got
wrap that
another
up.
appointment.
So yeah, you're
Yes.
busy. So for people who want to reach out, how do they reach out to you?
So if you go to mynaturalwellness.com, you can go through and you can actually book an appointment straight from there. I do a free 15-minute consult for people if they're like, I don't know what this is about and what she's going to ask me to do. And so we can just talk through like, what's your goal? What do you want to do? And I can figure out like, okay, it's going to take this long to get from point A to point B. So that's a really easy way. You can do it right online at My NaturoWellness.
Naturo.
Naturo, not natural. Naturo, like a naturopath. So that's the best way to reach me to make an appointment.
Yeah, perfect. And guys, thank you very much. Hope you've got a lot of value. I got a lot of value.
Good.
Now I know I'm not going back to chocolate. I will in Australia. I'm gonna crumble.
Go to cacao.
I love cacao.
Okay, then just have cacao.
Yeah.
It's so good for you.
Yeah. Like I said though, the fact that it's so synthetic tasting here in America makes it so easy to not have.
Yeah.
So thanks, America. You've made me healthier somehow. But yeah, cool. Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
And make sure to subscribe, guys. We'll see you later. Bye.